This story begins with a man named Christopher. Christopher is a kind-hearted man who always wants to care for and protect his loved one. He has gone through a long and difficult time in previous relationships, and when he met Adela, he thought she was the woman he had always been waiting for. Christopher loved her wholeheartedly, dedicating all his time, energy, and money to her, only to receive fleeting satisfaction in Adela's eyes. But behind her sweetness and charming smile, Christopher gradually realized that Adela only sought him out whenever she needed something, an expensive gift, a luxurious vacation, or simply attention to avoid feeling lonely. Christopher endured this for many months, telling himself that perhaps he wasn't good enough, that if he did more, she would love him as much as he loved her. But one day, Christopher was abandoned without a clear reason. Adela had found someone else who could provide the things Christopher couldn't. The hurt from this relationship caused Christopher to lose faith in love and himself. He felt like just a tool being exploited, which led him into a state of depression and disorientation. It's time to wake up and stop letting weakness control you. Open your eyes and face the truth. You are being exploited by a woman. What will happen if the woman you trust is secretly manipulating and using you for her own benefit? Look straight into reality, my friends. In this complex modern world, there are women who exploit men, draining their energy, resources, and emotions only to leave once they have achieved what they desire. This is a bitter truth, but once you dare to confront it, you will have the opportunity to regain control of your life. Today, I will point out 5 clear signs that indicate you are being exploited by a woman. These signs are not always easy to recognize, but once you understand them, you will reclaim your strength and no longer be a pawn in her game. With Stoic philosophy, you will learn to see the truth, maintain your calm, and prevent yourself from becoming a victim of manipulation. This philosophy will help you build a strong inner self and not let external influences weaken you. Don't let yourself become another Christopher. It's time to wake up and reassess your relationship with more clarity. You deserve a relationship based on respect and sincerity, not one of exploitation hidden behind empty promises and endless demands. Let's explore these 5 signs together to help you break free from exploitation and rebuild a strong, autonomous life. And if you find this content helpful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to continue following our discussions on self-improvement and your relationships. Together, we will become stronger, wiser, and prevent anyone from exploiting us ever again. Sign 1. Emotional manipulation. Emotional manipulation is one of the clearest signs that you might be being exploited in a relationship. When a woman constantly demands time, money, or attention without reciprocation from her side, you find yourself trapped in a cycle of manipulation. This is not love, but a form of emotional exploitation, where you are being used to meet her needs without a fair exchange. Let's delve deeper into the common manipulation tactics used. From the girl's perspective, the perspective of a psychological expert, and real-life examples. From the girl's perspective, not all women intend to exploit or manipulate deliberately. Some women have developed a habit or mindset that if their partner truly loves them, he must fulfill all their desires without expecting anything in return. This may stem from past experiences or cultural and societal expectations, where women are often pampered or seen as ones who need to be cared for. When a woman like Adela sees Christopher willing to do everything for her without asking for anything in return, she may gradually take it for granted. She doesn't see herself manipulating or exploiting, but simply believes that love is what she is receiving from him. However, this becomes manipulation when she only appears when she needs something. She uses sweetness, a charming demeanor, and shows that she needs him to achieve what she wants. When she no longer needs anything, she disappears, leaving Christopher bewildered, worried, and questioning whether he did something wrong or wasn't good enough. From the girl's perspective, this might just be a way to ensure she is cared for and gets everything she wants, but from Christopher's perspective, it causes hurt and feelings of exploitation. From the perspective of psychological experts, emotional manipulation often stems from an imbalance in emotional needs. Manipulators may have experienced psychological wounds in the past that make them feel the need to control and secure safety in a relationship. They might not realize that their behavior is causing harm to others because they are merely trying to protect themselves from insecurity and fear. Women like Adela might feel that if they don't ask for and receive from Christopher, he will no longer care about them. This creates a behavioral pattern based on manipulation and control rather than genuine exchange and sharing. Another common manipulation method is using guilt. A woman might say, "You don't care about me enough," or "If you really love me, you will do this for me." Such statements make the man feel guilty and compelled to meet unreasonable demands to prove his love. Christopher is often put in such situations with Adela, and he ends up using all his financial resources and time just to try to please her. This not only undermines his self-confidence, but also makes him constantly worry that he is not good enough. From real-life examples, a healthy relationship should involve mutual exchange and sharing from both sides. This means both partners must take responsibility for each other's needs and emotions. When you feel like you are always giving, while the other person only takes without reciprocating, it is a clear sign of an imbalanced relationship. Stoic philosophy reminds us that love should not just be about giving material things or one-sided satisfaction, but about spiritual connection, respect, and sincerity from both sides. Remember, you deserve a relationship where both parties put in effort, love, and care for each other. If you feel you are being exploited, it's time to reassess the relationship and whether it truly adds value to your life. Don't let the desire for acceptance make you a victim of manipulation. True strength comes from knowing your self-worth and not allowing anyone to exploit or manipulate you. Remember, genuine love is not about giving everything without receiving anything in return, but about sharing and understanding from both sides. Sign 2. Wanting others to guess your thoughts. The second sign is the desire for others to guess your thoughts. This often manifests in statements like, "I don't need to say it, you should know," or "I'm fine." These are deceptive lies that disguise the speaker's true emotions, reflecting a lack of communication and unrealistic expectations in the relationship. From Adela's perspective, she may not intentionally want to manipulate Christopher, or in reality, she is seeking a sense of security and understanding. Deep down, she wants to feel that Christopher loves and cares for her enough to understand her emotions without her having to articulate them. This is a common psychological pattern when someone feels insecure and wants to verify the level of love from their partner. However, this leads to unrealistic expectations and becomes an emotional trap for both parties. Adela cannot understand that clear and open communication is the only way to build a strong and sustainable relationship. From a psychological expert's viewpoint, this behavior reflects a lack of communication skills and issues with self-esteem. When someone expects their partner to guess their emotions without clearly expressing them, it often stems from the fear of not being worthy of love or the fear of rejection. If you cannot express your desires, it becomes difficult for the other person to meet them, leading to disappointment and distance in the relationship. A psychological expert would advise that instead of expecting others to read your mind, it is essential to learn how to express your emotions and needs sincerely and clearly. Real-life evidence shows that many couples who fall into this situation often struggle to maintain long-term relationships. Christopher is no exception. He always tries to guess what Adela wants, but each time he faces disappointment from her side. This not only makes him feel pressured, but also makes Adela feel misunderstood and not sufficiently loved. This creates a vicious cycle of misunderstanding and misplaced expectations, causing harm to both parties. Stoic thinking can help us overcome this issue by reminding us that no one can read another person's mind, and we should not expect them to do so. Instead, respect and transparency in communication are the keys. A Stoic person understands that it is their responsibility to clearly convey what they want and need. This not only helps the other person understand them better, but also allows themselves to gain respect and comfort in the relationship. If someone cannot clearly articulate their desires and needs, it is a sign that the relationship lacks mutual respect and understanding. Instead of expecting the other person to guess, focus on building a solid communication foundation. This not only helps minimize disappointment, but also creates a stronger bond between both individuals. A relationship can only be sustainable when both parties feel heard, respected, and able to express themselves authentically. Sign 3. Constant criticism masquerading as help. Adela often criticizes Christopher with the reasoning that she wants him to become better. These criticisms are not genuine feedback, but instead create a feeling that Christopher is never good enough, that all his actions are flawed or inadequate. This leads Christopher to constantly doubt himself and question whether he deserves her love. This is one of the subtle ways of manipulation, keeping him in a state of low self-esteem and feeling unworthy. People like Adela often hide their control under the guise of helping, creating continuous psychological pressure on the other person without any real encouragement or recognition. We need to understand that true help never comes from constant criticism. When someone loves you and genuinely wants you to be better, they will find ways to motivate and support you with patience and love. They will not make you feel small or undermine your confidence. Continuous criticism, without providing any solutions or encouragement, is merely a way for that person to assert power and make you dependent on them. This is completely contrary to the love and support that a healthy relationship requires. Stoic philosophy teaches us that self-improvement must come from within, driven by our own motivation, not by external pressure from others. Marcus Aurelius, one of the famous Stoic thinkers, once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." If you change yourself only to please others, you will never be truly happy. This improvement will not be sustainable because it is not something you genuinely desire, but merely a response to someone else's demands. Christopher needs to realize that he does not need to change to fit the standards that Adela sets, especially when these standards are merely an excuse to control and manipulate him. He needs to find strength from within, learn to value himself, and understand that his worth is not determined by Adela's acceptance or praise. Personal development should be undertaken for one's own goals and values, not because of any pressure or expectations from others. Recognizing that you are being unreasonably criticized and that these criticisms are negatively affecting you is the first step to breaking free from this manipulation. Always remember that true help never comes from hurtful and attacking criticism, but from sincere support, understanding, and the desire for you to grow in your own way. That is the true expression of love and the foundation of a sustainable and healthy relationship. Sign 4. Lack of genuine care for your life. One clear sign that you are being exploited is when the other person lacks genuine interest in your life. In the relationship between Christopher and Adela, there is a noticeable imbalance. Adela always wants to share her difficulties and problems and demands attention and care from Christopher. However, when it's Christopher's turn to talk about what he is going through, his work or his personal concerns, Adela does not listen or even ignores him. This indicates a serious imbalance in the relationship and suggests that Adela's feelings may be one-sided, lacking respect and mutual sharing. In psychology, mutual attention and listening are very important factors in building a healthy relationship. Caring about each other's emotions and lives is not only an expression of love, but also the foundation of empathy and bonding. A relationship is not just about expecting the other person to be there when we need them, but also about sharing and accompanying each other through both joys and hardships. Without mutual sharing and care, the relationship becomes skewed, and the neglected person will always feel lonely even within the relationship itself. There are various reasons that lead to this lack of attention. One common reason is that the other person simply views you as a resource, someone who is always ready to listen and solve their problems without needing to reciprocate. This can stem from selfishness or even from their uncertainty about the true value of the relationship. When a person only comes to you when they need something and then disappears or ignores you when you need them, it is a sign that they do not highly value your presence. They only see you as someone to help them feel better without intending to reciprocate with similar care. Christopher's relationship with Adela is a typical example of this imbalance. Christopher, with his love and dedication, always listens and supports Adela in everything. He is always present to solve her problems, but conversely, when he needs someone to listen, Adela does not show up. This makes Christopher feel lonely and deprived in the relationship, gradually losing trust in love and even himself. When someone always gives without receiving any attention in return, they will start to feel unworthy of love, and that their value lies only in pleasing others. From a psychological perspective, the lack of interest in the other person's life can lead to negative consequences for both parties. The neglected and unheard person will gradually feel hurt and even angry. They may feel undervalued, and this imbalance will gradually erode love and respect in the relationship. Stoic philosophy emphasizes the importance of self-evaluation and objectively reassessing the relationship. If you realize that you are in a relationship where care only comes from one side, you need to be alert and reconsider your investment in that relationship. A healthy relationship requires listening and sharing from both sides. If only one person is always being listened to while the other is always ignored, it is a clear sign that the relationship is heading towards a dead end. True love is not a one-way exchange, but a give and take from both sides. Only when both people accompany and care for each other can the relationship develop sustainably and bring happiness to both. Always remember that you deserve true love, a love that comes from empathy, sharing, and mutual respect. Sign 5. Unwillingness to sacrifice. One of the clearest signs of an imbalanced relationship is when one party is unwilling to sacrifice or adjust for the other. In the relationship between Christopher and Adela, Adela always demands that Christopher make concessions and follow her wishes. However, when it's Christopher's turn to seek a bit of adjustment from her, Adela never reciprocates. This is a sign of unfairness and a lack of respect in the relationship. In a healthy relationship, both individuals need to be willing to change, sacrifice, and adjust to meet each other's needs and desires. Sacrifice here does not mean abandoning oneself or doing something contrary to one's values, but rather making concessions so that the other person feels loved and understood. Sometimes this can mean spending extra time together, providing support when the other person is facing difficulties, or simply listening and sharing their worries. Adela seems to have no willingness to sacrifice for Christopher. She always demands that Christopher meet her needs without any concern for his feelings. For her, the relationship only makes sense when she gets what she wants, creating a serious imbalance between the two. In love, if only one side is constantly sacrificing, the relationship cannot be sustainable, and the person who sacrifices more will feel tired, exhausted, and lose their self-esteem. Stoic philosophy teaches that to have a sustainable relationship, both people must be willing to put each other above their personal needs and not hesitate to sacrifice to maintain mutual happiness. This does not mean neglecting oneself or giving up everything to please others, but finding a balance between both individuals' needs. A Stoic person always recognizes that we can only control ourselves and our actions, but trying to control ourselves and our actions, but trying to control our change is something that should not be done. Stay objective. If you are always the one who has to make concessions and follow the other person's wishes without receiving balance and fairness in the relationship, it is a clear sign of exploitation. True love requires contributions from both sides, mutual agreement, and a willingness to support each other. A relationship without mutual sacrifice is not love but exploitation and imbalance. Adela always demands that Christopher make concessions, but she is never willing to do the same for him. This is why their relationship cannot be sustainable and ultimately leads to separation. Balance and fairness in love not only help maintain the relationship, but also help both people feel happy, safe, and respected. The lack of willingness to sacrifice is not only a sign of unfairness, but also a lack of true love. Someone who truly loves will always be willing to do good things for their partner as long as it does not go against their values and self. Advice for applying Stoic philosophy. Stoic philosophy teaches us that no one has the right to control our minds and emotions except ourselves. This is an incredibly powerful mindset because it helps us regain control from external influences, from people who try to manipulate and exploit us. When you face signs that you are being exploited, stop and ask yourself, is this worth continuing to endure? This awareness is an important part of Stoic thinking, helping you realize that only you have the right to decide what is deserving and what is not. Remember that you deserve a relationship based on respect and sincerity. This may sound obvious, but in reality, many people accept exploitation out of weakness and fear of loneliness. You might fear that if you leave someone who is exploiting you, you will have no one by your side. However, Stoic philosophy encourages you to face this fear and realize that loneliness is not the worst thing. Losing yourself and letting others control you is the real failure. Marcus Aurelius, one of the famous Stoic philosophers, once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." If your thoughts are always dominated by the fear of losing someone who does not truly love you, your happiness will always be out of reach. You must focus on controlling yourself, not letting unworthy people affect the quality of your life. Remember, no one can bring you happiness if you do not know how to create it from within. To apply Stoic philosophy to your life and relationships, you need to learn to let go of things that do not belong to you. This is not an easy process, especially when you have invested a lot of emotions, time, and energy into a relationship. But only when you dare to let go can you create space for truly good things to appear. A healthy relationship does not require you to sacrifice everything to please your partner, but demands fairness, mutual agreement, and mutual understanding. Another important aspect of Stoic philosophy is accepting reality. You need to accept that there are people who do not deserve your love and attention. They cannot change, and you should not try to change them either. Exploitive people often do not recognize their own selfishness, or they have no intention to change because they do not see it as a problem. You could spend your whole life trying to change someone, but in the end, you will only feel tired and exhausted. Instead of doing so, accept the truth and seek relationships where you are truly loved and respected. Letting go also requires you to learn to love yourself. This does not mean becoming selfish, but learning to prioritize yourself in necessary situations. If you do not respect and love yourself, you cannot expect others to do so for you. Stoic philosophy encourages you to build a life based on strong personal values, not swayed by others' words or actions. You do not need to please others to be loved. You need to create happiness and a sense of pride in yourself. One useful tool of Stoic philosophy is the practice of premeditatio malorum, premeditation of evils. This involves imagining the worst-case scenarios to mentally prepare yourself to face them. When dealing with an unhealthy relationship, premeditatio malorum helps you foresee the consequences if you continue to endure and do not dare to change. You might imagine the feeling of loneliness when you let go of that person, but at the same time, realize the relief of no longer being exploited. This preparation helps you no longer fear facing change, and thus make more informed decisions. Stoic philosophy not only helps you maintain inner peace, but also serves as a powerful tool to become stronger in love and life. Use its principles to build a life that is not influenced by unworthy people. When you clearly understand your own value and do not let others decide your emotions, you become stronger and find true happiness. Do not fear letting go of things that are not deserving of healing. Remind yourself that you deserve a happy, free life without being bound by others' manipulation. If you find this article helpful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to continue following shares on how to improve yourself and your relationships. Together, we will become stronger, wiser, and prevent anyone from exploiting us again. Let's build a better life together where you are in control of yourself and do not let unworthy people control your happiness.